I'm Juan Davies, Chief Creative Officer at KCET PBS SoCal, and I'm joined by the newsroom of KPCC and LAist on a daily reporter roundup. How's everyone?
Doing okay.
And welcome again, Megan Garvey.
I'm happy to be here, Juan.
Well, we had some really big news today from the Supreme Court on the deferred action for childhood arrivals, better known as DACA. Josie, what are the details?
Well, after allowing themselves to celebrate the Supreme Court upholding DACA, DACA recipients and their supporters talked a lot about how they need to keep working towards getting legislation passed that would allow DACA recipients to stay in the country permanently. As you know, DACA is temporary. It only gives you 2 years worth of protection from deportation at a time before you have to renew. Another thing people want to work towards is ousting Trump from office this year. You know, DACA recipients say, well, they cannot vote themselves. They can certainly organize, get out the votes. What is less clear today is whether and when people can start applying for DACA for the first time. During the several years of legal limbo, those already in DACA, they could renew, but no one else was let in. So the ruling, of course, just came out today, and there's no federal guidance on this, but one immigrant advocacy group told me they are sending off new DACA applications today. Their legal director told me, quote, "Even though we do not have instructions, we know this to be the right thing," end quote.
Mariana talked to some dreamers to get their perspective.
There is a sense of relief. Now, DACA has made a big difference for these folks. Since the beginning of the program, they've been able to get driver's licenses and work legally in this country. One of the people I talked to is Cesar. He studies English education at Cal Poly Pomona. And an example of how it's impacted his life is that before he worked these kind of under the table jobs, like as a dishwasher, now he's able to work on campus in the rec center. He's scheduled to graduate in May, and he eventually wants to get a PhD, but there's still this sense of anxiety about the future. He feels like he's in limbo because there isn't a path to citizenship for him or the other 10,000 non-resident students in the California State University system. And also big question still for people who aren't yet in the program. There's a Migration Policy Institute study that found that there's 100,000 undocumented students that are graduating from high school every year in the United States.
Just hours ago, Governor Gavin Newsom announced that starting today, nearly all Californians must wear a face covering while in public or other situations deemed high risk. Jackie has the details.
Yeah, the updated guidance was announced by the California Department of Public Health, and it requires Californians to wear a face mask in most public spaces, as well as outdoors when social distancing isn't possible. Any workers who engage with the public will be required to wear a mask, and so will riders of public transit and anyone visiting a health-related office. LA County already required face masks, but many of the surrounding counties like Riverside and Orange County didn't. California has nearly 40 million people, so we become the most populous state in the nation to require face coverings. It is the 11th state and first on the West Coast to mandate masks beyond essential workers. And the reason why is pretty clear. There are more and more COVID-19 cases every day in the state.
And finally, Jacob looked into how firefighters are preparing to fight wildfires during a pandemic.
So firefighters are in a uniquely dangerous position because they're regularly interacting with the public, possibly exposing themselves. So they've begun to don full PPE whenever going out on regular house calls. But when they're out in the wilderness, it is a totally different story. And these giant conflagrations that happen, like the Thomas Fire, Woolsey, fires like that throughout California, especially in the fall, wildfires often gather in base camps. They eat together, sleep together, spend a lot of time very close to one another. This year, because that is a perfect place to spread disease, they're going to try to break out into smaller camps. They're going to try to stay separated. And if people end up testing positive, the people around them will then be quarantined and tested as well. So they're trying to stay safe while also in unsanitary conditions out in the field, which is tough.
Well, thank you so much to all of you at the KPCC and LAist newsroom, and thank you for tuning in. Take care of your family, take care of your health, and we will see you tomorrow.